So that
was 11 years ago.
But in terms of delivery lines, things really suits driver.
Yeah.
So I think what we can all have a little look at is seeing, right, how much can we go to something and maybe a little more responsive feeling to. It's whether lighter to make it feel easier, or something that you feel you get a bit more back from.
Correct.
And certainly heads, you say, TSI 3's good head, but this year in particular, there are a lot of good heads out there.
I know.
They've all feel like they've just made a little bit of a jump.
Yeah, they've made a little bit of they've moved on a bit.
So and certainly
I have to say this has been really good for me the last couple of years.
You played DI a few years now.
Yes. Yeah, it's a really good shaft. We did fit. What did we fit? It was a Pro. The last shaft I had in this, and it just felt as though it was just dropping out. That felt much harder to hit. So I went back to this driver.
It's quite responsive through the midsection. So
exactly.
Stable tip, but definitely feels like it gives you that little
and
bit of pop
that's
back.
what I felt.
And in terms of flight, where you're seeing this, are you kind of fussed about what trajectory it's on, or more just as long as it feels good to use and gets out there?
The latter, but I don't want it too high.
Yeah.
I think I'm about 100 feet
at
apex.
More than that.
Yeah. So, if we can get, a little bit lower, but a little bit further, carry. How we're going to do that, I don't know. But
we'll see. We'll see. We'll work it out as we go. And anything swing-wise you've been doing? Anything you've changed at all?
I've just last
Pro V1s, or are you
Pro V1s? Yeah. The last couple of months, I've been really working on trying to keep the head, central, because I do have a tendency to my trigger is, and then go. Yeah. Which you.
Until you couldn't see that from that way, it's just to move off, which is something that anyone who's seen me swing knows that.
So I'm trying to take away and the head more central. When I don't get it right, I do that and then go. Yeah. So I just move off, and therefore it's much more difficult to, unless you're absolutely swinging perfectly, it's much more difficult to get back square. Yeah.
So you've got to time the lateral move and the arms and the hands. And that's actually something that when you learned, it was that lateral drive was part of the technique. So kind of all trying to get out of that now. But
the swings have moved on. They've got more modernised. My old swing coaches were back from the day. George Will, Ryder Cup player in the 60s 3 times, even Bob Torrance, then Gavin Christie, who sort of saw me through the 2 wins. They've all died. I'm saying, what am I doing to these people? But Paul Anderson, who helps me up at the Berkshire, he's very good. But he's always maintained that I should, he puts me on Trackman and then puts the little box around my head, and he says, "You've moved off again." So that's what I've been working on.
Perfect. Great. So what we'll do is we'll get I know you've had a bit of a loosen up already, but we'll get a bit of data with this, get the marker points, see what we're working with, and then go about trying to improve it. So T height, if you want it a little bit lower, just screw the top bit down clockwise, and it'll just drop a little bit. And so, guys, as we go through any questions, fire them in. We'll try to answer as many as we can during the session.
Well, that'll do.
Yeah, easy game, this one, isn't it? And has driving been something that, as part of your game over the years, has that been something that you'd feel has always been a strength? It's been something you've had to work hard at?
No, I think driver and the mid-irons have been my best asset, I suppose. Never had a problem with length. Even when we had the old Persimmon drivers back in the 80s and 90s, early 90s, 265 was a good hit there. Yeah. I'm now 40 years on, and I'm flying at 265, just about. Well, 156.
First hit, but it's. I think that's the thing with the technology side of it, is how much more accessible we've traded with other pros in the past. So Greg Norman was such a good driving ball with Persimmon that when they went to Metalwoods, his advantage wasn't nullified, but it was
everybody's
taking a chunk
together.
out.
played with certain guys that with the persimmon drivers were, you know, they'd be hitting driver forward where you'd be hitting driver 6-iron or something, and then all of a sudden, this one particular chap, who should remain nameless, he's up there with you. I mean, he had this metal driver, and he would pitch it, and it would roll 30, 40 yards, and he was up there with you, and you think, you know, it's just brought everybody together.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that's the thing, is that at your end of the scale, that's kind of almost the issue. The question is always,
our advantage
has it dumbed it down?
Yeah.
Has it made skill less pickable? But then the flip of it is that for people we see day in, day out, it's actually made the game a bit more fun.
I mean, I was watching Rory last night, and he was giving it some absolute welly.
Yeah.
340, 330, as though it was.
Yeah.
It's a game we're not familiar with.
No, there are a lot of those guys now in terms of maybe not quite that speed, but yeah, it's such a different game now from a technique standpoint. And from a pattern point of view, in terms of flight or shot pattern-wise, miss-wise, is there a miss with it, or it is that one that just starts a little and goes?
And I get it out of the neck a little bit, and you know, I'm just getting a bit behind it.
Yeah.
So that's, you know, why I'm trying to stay sort of more there instead of, and then when I get to, I'm behind the ball and I've got to catch up, and that's where it sort of flips over.
Okay, so slightly higher.
Bit
on
out the
face,
toe.
That one, yeah. And it's interesting actually. That one, with this, it's where that spin just knuckles off a little bit actually.
Yeah.
You know, whether that's
it drops out
bit of having to just fetch it a little bit as well. Okay. Again, slightly higher at the edge. Okay, yeah, it definitely does look like you're having to. It's marginal, but just have to fetch the club a little bit, especially if you're trying to stay centred. If there's a little bit extra weight, then you've got to get it away and get it back. So potentially just dropping that down a little bit should help you stay a little bit centred and just turn a little bit faster to generate the speed. And because with some of those, they're a little bit maybe slightly higher or slightly higher toe side, the spin's very efficient, but it does make the carry distance a bit volatile if it just wants to just drop a little bit. So, okay. Yeah, and you can just see, I mean, James was just waving you a question, you can just see as you get through to the ball, the club's just playing a little bit of catch up, and so it's going to, it's just going to exaggerate what you're trying to avoid in the swing. Okay.
Question from Andrew Lloyd. Throughout the more
I don't
recent
feel as
years, let me turn my microphone up a bit.
actually swinging that badly.
Throughout the more recent years, have you found that you've needed to change your shaft stiffness, or are you changing more of the head and weight rather than shaft, or is it a combination of the two?
It's definitely a combination of the two. Because if you have a lighter shaft or a stiffer shaft, you've still got to compensate with the head weight, haven't you?
A little bit, yeah, certainly. Yeah,
and so it's too much.
I would say, it is. It's always going to
now.
be a bit of both. And what's happened also with as the technology's changed, as balls have developed, you've had to change the head to maintain spin rates in the same place.
That's another thing. The ball has developed so much.
Yeah.
You know, from the Pro V1 when it first came out in 2000, somewhere around there, 99, 2000. I mean, that has moved on so much.
Yeah.
If you tried to hit that old Pro V1 now with these things, you know, you'd get a totally different flight, and everything. So.
And it is a bit chicken egg from a design point of view. That the ball, it's generally the head manufacturers will change to optimise ball rather than the ball manufacturers. They're always trying to get lower spin with the driver end of things. So with the core of the ball, that's trying to optimise spin at high speeds, and then the covers, the outer layers are more about irons and wedges. But as the core materials change, the head manufacturers have had to adapt the designs a bit more from that way around. So.
And also, if you go back, if you hit the new ball now with the old persimmon drivers, I mean, it just went. There was no flight at all.
There was about 1,000 revs difference between the Bellata and the Pro V. Yeah,
so,
we did a bit of a test.
you know, technology is just gone.
Right, let me get you a couple of alternatives.
All right, another one.
So just looking at, I don't know whether James you got the camera on me or not, but looking at some shafts that give a little bit more feedback through them. So don't want to go to something too structurally rigid, but equally speaking, you know, with Roger's swing, we can't lose the stability of the shaft. So it's going to something that's got a little bit more load, maybe a bit more responsiveness through the midsection. So.
Yeah, they're all a bit low leftish, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean that one just had a little bit more rotation in the face. But again, the good news is it makes sense relative to what you've said you're trying to do swing-wise. What's happening with the club is exacerbating it a little bit. So,
see, to me, it didn't. You know, you're looking at the ball flight there, and you think, well, that's a horrible shot, but it just didn't feel that way swing-wise.
Yeah. Helps to put the adapter in.
How long have you been doing this?
Oh, not very long. A couple of months. All right, so just going to put loft up a little bit. It's one of the things this year that's been noticeable is the heads are still all fairly low spin. We'll see how this swings. I might need to. So starting with the ping, a little bit more loft. It's slightly heavier head weight than some of the others in the LS.
Okay.
So it's whether this feels a little head heavy or not. Let's take that down a fraction. I'll just tag these in.
What loft is this on this?
I'm going up a little bit because one, this head's fairly true to loft.
Okay.
But just in terms of making sure it doesn't knuckle off. Okay. It's one of the interesting things with your Titleist head and where the strike and the flightnings are. That low spin creates quite good run out yardage, but it makes the carry volatile. So if we can stabilise the spin,
is that a little bit high?
So in an ideal world, that one's 11.8 launch, 2.4 spin. We'd see 13, 2.1, 2.2. That's then going to make sure the carry's there, and then keep a nice amount of run out as well. But I think making sure the carry's stable. If we get the spin in a good window, it's going to run out well anyway. Just hung out right a little. Right. It's not bad. I would say certainly not got the nose. Or lost the note. The one of having
that's
to kind of
straight away.
it. And that's moving at about 3 or 4 or 5 grams lighter in shaft weight. Let's see one more of this. So if one that's turned over a little bit, it's much safer on spin. So that stayed around the 2,000 mark. I'll change that shaft up a little bit more. So at least flight-wise, it's in a much more stable window, so we can afford to lower it a little bit and not see the spin nosedive.
Another question in whilst we're there. Paul Bennett saying, "Hi Roger. Do you have to do a lot of gym work in order to compete with fellow competitors?"
Not anymore. No, I haven't. No, I just do a bit of core work, stretching and everything, but no, I've passed that stage now.
And
I didn't do very much anyway, so to be honest.
Just another one from Aidan. Thanks guys for sending in your questions. For UK and Irish turf, is 8 degrees bounce the most commonly fitted for Vokey gap wedge Does the full grind give protection anyway?
So I missed the first part of that.
For UK and Irish turf, is 8 degrees bounce the most common fitted for a Vokey gap wedge? Does the full grind give protection anyway?
Yeah, it would be the most common one. Just a little creak on it. Mainly because, so that's the thread just settling. Mainly because, I mean, the gap wedges with Vokeys do 8 or 12. So for the tighter turf that we have here, the slightly lower bounce tends to be the more common one. Yes, the 12, if you're steep, will give a little bit more protection, but it's minimal. And for chipping, the lower bounce often makes it sit a little bit tighter as well. That one just lost a little bit of flow to it. So it's just balance point I dragged up a little bit, and it doesn't quite, just lost the control of it. I'll change that one out. That's not a million miles off.
No.
See, where the first one you kind of went through the swing and got a little left, then you steered onto it. So it's really seeing how, I'll take weight down a fraction more, see how light we can get before we lose timing. Right. So I'm just going to drop shaft weight just a hair under 60 grams. We're at sort of 62, 63 on the last ones. Just take that one off Mark during his fitting. Let's see, what else do I want to take? I'm going to go. Got a few. We've got a large number of shafts here, so we've had to create a little bit of overflow. So I'm looking for one of the Ventus TRs, actually, which is, I just realised, just up there. Okay. So it's whether there's enough feedback in the shaft or not. It's gone a little bit lighter. We're going lighter, structurally got to go a little bit stronger to maintain the stability. So it's whether you lose a bit of feel out of it.
Yeah. Have you got more club head speed if it's lighter?
In theory, yeah. And there's always that balance up between, excuse the pun, of going lighter technically means you can move it quicker, but you actually need some weight to develop speed with. Yeah. So if you go too light, you can't keep building that momentum through the handle. So. Okay, so speed up a little bit. It's whether, by dropping to the weight we've dropped to, whether there's enough there, and it
don't
just
feel a lot there.
Gets a I think then you'd end up having to steer at it a little bit. But if I load up the head weight, then the head's going to get detached.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, and I think you'll end up managing it, but you've dropped straight away after that second one. You've dropped back pace, and then you're ending up steering at it. Okay.
So just for the benefit of those at home or at work, will you tell us which shafts you're using and why?
Yeah, so the first one, alternative after the DI6, which is like a 66, 67 gram shaft with the Speeder NX blue and the 60, which is 62, but a very similar profile. So you've got a little bit of give in the middle, tip stable, so a natural kind of first move, very neutral weight-wise. And I just wanted to push the weight down a little bit more to see how light we could go without losing control. And so I went actually the Ventus, the TR, because again, I don't want to load up the bottom end. But the TR series to keep the stability through the top half of the shaft, but drop it down to sort of 56, 57 grams. That's just a little bit light. So taking the 10 grams out for someone like Roger, who's it's never going to be vast differences, but at least going to test the principle of going that bit lighter. just dropped too much weight, so got away. And then, so first swing was quicker, but left. Second swing, you controlled the face, but backed out of it, which is no good. And then going back up to the Acra, the TZ6 Gen 2 in the 60, which is pretty much bang on 60 grams. And yeah, just seeing kind of how that, we take that weight back up a little bit more, pretty stable. It's not dead, it's got a little bit of response in the tip. But still, material-wise, really good quality material. Helps us keep the spin in check. Just whether it swings well or not. And that's really, with any of the shafts, ultimately they can bend. Yeah, it doesn't matter what they're designed to do bend-wise. If they don't swing well and they don't time well, the strike's not going to be consistent, the control's not going to be there. So. Club speed up a little bit there, 105.
Oh, 105.
Yeah. So that was probably just a bit of a reaction seeing one go left, but it's only a small amount. And again, if you're particularly kind of on course, if you're doing something that had a very safe ball flight, it's a mid twos on spin, keeps the carry there, just shortens the run out a little bit. There's nice control on spin there. And so that was hit. Yeah, and so that there, so that's what to phrase is very true in terms of data, because path 0.2, face path 0.5, we're then into that 13 launch 2-1 spin.
Yep. That's
Speed
the window,
starting to
isn't it?
creep, but then we're at 263, 64 carry, 289 total. So you're not, I don't know whether James can show this screen, I'm anticipating it coming out in a really nice place. Yeah, so there's no, if that optimized screen is visible, see with the blue channel across the middle, everything's in there, but the launch angle in the middle is the upper mid and the spin's the lower mid. So actually from a carry and run out total point of view, that's really, really efficient. That's really nice. So, okay. We'll come back to that. So when the head stays on, it works really well.
Does feel really nice, actually.
So shaft-wise, it's still very stable, but the bottom gives that little bit more. Like I think the fact that it's those 4 or 5 grams lighter, it's now with you through the ball, so everything's on the club and impact rather than having a little bit of it. Yeah.
Roger, you ever lost your head on the course?
Sorry?
You ever lost your head on the course?
Many times.
I think if there's a
I'm presuming the one on the shoulders.
If there's a golfer out there, pro golfer out there who claims he hasn't, then they're lying.
I actually haven't. I don't think I've lost a head on a golf club on the course. Pretty sure I haven't.
I hope that's on camera, but I don't think it is. For those that can't see, James nearly completely stacked it then. Ooh, now, so that's actually quite a tough one to bit out again. Right, yeah. Let's get over that.
Oh, that was.
It's quite a tough one. That's quite a tough one to beat.
To beat, yeah. I was going to say, looking at the numbers.
Where do you enjoy playing the most? There we go. People always ask me what's your favourite course, but I know it's like, in terms of, US, UK.
UK. I think.
Or one at each, depending on.
Yeah, but if I had one round left in my life, it'd be Cypress Point.
Agree. Yeah.
I played Walker Cup there in '81, and they've got it there in 2025.
25, okay.
And that's the first time they've been back. So that's only the second time they've had the Walker Cup at Cypress Point.
Because they had a run, there was something like, the Walker Cups were, I want to say, Hoylake, then Seminole. No, was it
I think
Seminole, Hoylake?
I think it Muirfield in '77. No, '79. Cyprus in '81, and then Hoylake in '83. Because I think Phil Mickelson and Philip Walton played in that one.
Because there was a recent run of similar. They had Seminole, I want to say Hoylake. Then there's, I can't remember where. There's St Andrews and Cypress Point with the kind of the run. They've got it back there.
Yeah,
again soon.
yeah.
And you can think, wow, God, what a run of.
I mean, I was so lucky to be, amateur at that time. When I went out there to Cyprus in '81, I just thought I'd died and gone to heaven.
Because was the next? Because which year was Pine Valley? Was it '85?
'85.
Because that's what Colin did that one.
Yeah, and John Hawksworth and people like that. Yeah.
So switch to Diamana TB. Again, very smooth profile, similar sort of weight. Okay, a little bit more spin. So again, from a profile point of view, the Acra is slightly different. This one's more like the DI. So the Diamana blue profile has always been one of the smoothest bend profiles of any. That's why they keep, that's why it was such a highly regarded shaft all those years back.
Yeah. I think I got that in the 3 wood, didn't I? No.
That's one of the Motori speeds.
Motori.
Yeah. So it's very even bend all the way through, hence that smooth sensation. The Acra is a little stiffer in the middle, but then uses the tip a bit more. So just slightly different in the way it loads and bends. So the Acra might feel a bit tighter than this. Swings well. Okay. Good.
That's not bad, is it?
Good, yeah.
I got rid of that little pull.
Yeah, and I think that's just been those few grams lighter. The club stays with you as you turn through, so it allows you to move quicker and it keeps coming with you. Good hit. Hair up the right, but good hit. Yeah, it's still good. This is a tough call between us. That's going to have a more responsive feel.
Yeah.
But we then got into the same kind of launch and spin numbers as that Acra has and same sort of ball speeds. So it's marginal call. This is sort of where we look and go, okay, it might be down to, if we do 1 or 2 more with that and then switch it back as to whether one feels like you can feel either simpler to swing and therefore more under control or more enjoyable to use. Okay, interesting. That one's just got that spin just turning off a little bit. We'll see one more there and I'll switch it back over. I think I'm going to, before I open my mouth and commit to something, there's a looks to be slightly more of a tendency. Actually, I might as well say that. It looks like there's a little bit more rotation going on with this than the Acra. Marginal.
Yeah.
Flight numbers are still good, but that's where the previous one that just rolled left, the spin came down a little bit more. And the other bit that we've got coming up in 8 weeks' time is what I happen to have the privilege of being on your team.
Yeah.
Simon, are you doing a lot of mind reading? Because you've just preempted 2 questions. One from a Andrew Lloyd saying that's what's Roger's favourite golf course that he's played and why, just before you even said it. And our coach Stu has literally just said, Roger, getting ready for the Team Challenge Trophy, clearly taking it very seriously.
I mean, I'll definitely add clairvoyance to my list of specialist subjects. Well, I'd love to say yes, but complete fluke. But yeah, obviously, we're going to be on the winning team.
Absolutely.
And
Team Bears.
Team Bears, exactly, which looks like a certain coloured polo shirt on the last day. So for those that don't know, we're doing a trip for 40 odd people out to Costa Navarino in Greece, which James Stewart and I went to 10 days ago. Did a 3-day recce out there.
Looks amazing, doesn't it?
And obviously we're going there, so people say you're going to say it's lovely, but actually in terms of golf resorts and hotels that I've been to, the amount of hotels you walk into and go in the room and go, it's all right.
Yeah, it's another hotel.
You walk in and go, oh, that's really nice.
I've been to a few hotels.
And they've got 4 courses there, really playing 3, are all that little bit different. You've got the dunes, which is a Langer design by the hotel, and the bay, which is down by the bay, with amazing views over the water.
Which
and
one
the
is
hills.
Lazabelle involved with?
Lazabelle, I think the Olympic, because they've got a Trent Jones Junior course
Yep.
there as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think Lazabelle was I think he was the Olympic course, which
Okay.
is the one we're not doing this trip.
Right.
But the hills, where you then up in the hills and just looking down over the bay course, and just stunning backdrop.
Yeah.
And the rough was dormant, so a little bit brown where there, but it'll be greened up by the time we go.
Yeah.
But Roger's championing, captaining one team. Stuart Cartwright, who coaches here, and Lewis Sparrow, they're captaining 2 of the others, and Paul Nestling, who's one of the top Southern Region pros, is captaining the 4th team. So we've got the Bears, which we are, Team Woods, which
I was just wondering.
the organiser
Roger,
might
how
have
I-
been.
Hey,
Right.
Might have been in.
I just wondering, are you going to be going a bit faster anytime soon, or?
Such a child.
I'll
isn't
tell you
he?
what, when you get to 64, see how your ball speed is. Club head speed.
I'd be faster than that.
No.
Have you,
So,
you
yeah.
ever, have you been to Costa Navarino before?
I've never. It's one of the countries I've never played in, Greece.
Yeah.
So,
It's probably not renowned for good golf, is it?
well,
really?
no, you had the World Cup there next to the airport, didn't you, years ago?
Because then the other one, or no, I was thinking Cyprus is Aphrodite Hills, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's,
it's
yeah.
a good venue.
But I must have played over 60 different countries in the world, but never in Greece. So.
Costa Navarino is incredible.
Yeah,
Mm.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. The
Yeah.
food was pretty special as well.
Yeah.
As
The
everything
problem
else.
is it's a buffet. You eat too much.
Yeah.
Every breakfast I was going to be good and had then I had an omelette or a pancake.
pancake, yeah.
It's just, they put the cereal at when you walk in,
Yeah.
not in the main bit. So you walk past it, think I'll have some of that, and then you can't be bothered to go around there by the time you go to eat. So you just go, I'll just have the cooked bit.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
But
Good
yeah,
job with
they're
only
great.
there
So
5 days then.
great. And the courses are all different challenges, great condition. Even say beginning of Feb, the firmness of the greens, the grass coverage. They'd got a tournament on there that week for the. Get there, I think CPGA. It's a European PGA kind of group, and just looking great condition. So, yeah.
Look, it looks stunning.
Yeah.
Looks stunning.
Thoroughly
Looking forward to it.
that.
End of May, end of April.
Mm.
So we'll
Yeah.
see. Team Bears.
Team Bears, absolutely.
Bears! Do we have to do team talks and everything, or we just?
We can do
At the bar?
Yeah, I think team talks the night before is definitely the way forward. The good thing with that is having stood chin wagging for a few minutes, going back to it straight away, it's down that same
Yeah.
channel, which is the equivalent of being stood in the tee waiting
Yeah.
for fairway to clear. Which obviously now you're hitting it further, you're going to have to wait even longer for. That'll be interesting one to see. Sound it a little bit because it's so. The reason it's interesting to see with that was it didn't sound middle, but the spin stayed more stable.
Felt a little bit toey. Let's see how.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been. This isn't
Yeah.
exact, but you can see from the smash that the ball speed dropped off a little bit. But the good thing with that one is the spin stayed with a 2 on it rather than knuckling off. So again, carry distance doesn't really suffer. It launched a little bit higher,
20
but
yards a run.
stayed in the air.
Happy.
I'll just make sure that tee. In terms of going back to this having hit the TB, anything noticeable from a?
This seems nice and stable.
Okay, yeah,
Really does. The previous one,
yeah.
just a little bit of work in it, but this
Okay,
one
yeah.
seems, if I could, I don't know, if I could probably hit just a smooth one.
Mm. Yeah, so ball speed a few miles now down. Slightly lower on the face?
Yep.
Yep. So a little lower on the face, they spun it up a
But
little bit
that's-
more, but it's still face to path 0.5.
Yeah.
It's
It's
still
a
down
shot
the
if I
channel.
just needed to, you know, rein back on one a little bit, just to make sure I hit the fairway.
Yeah. I think that's the bit for me on that. You know, the spin tolerance. I'm going to compare. Is only, yeah, and even that one's a slightly higher one. Is less than 300 revs.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Actually, similar with the other. Launch angle a hair higher with that. A hair higher. Maybe just again slightly, maybe just above centre there. But that's the bit for me. The spin staying right in that 2000-2 window. Very, very tight dispersion on spin, and you know, it feels a little bit more stable to swing with. Really, the TB is designed around again stable, and a bit smoother, a little bit more give through the middle section. That one more stable here, little bit of give in the tip.
Yeah.
So, but low torque.
Yeah.
So it's designed to have a little bit of kick through, but not to pop under.
Yeah, I
quite
can
as
feel
much.
that.
So
I can feel that.
I'm going to get. I mean, certainly that's a really very, very stable, very solid base point there.
Yeah.
Definitely more spin consistency and a safer spin level.
A bit necky.
Yes, and again to that point, Necky's normally, yes, we dropped a bit of ball speed, and the spin's gone up a bit, but it's gone up a few hundred revolutions rather than really flaring.
But that one with the my driver would be those left-hand bunkers, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we've not seen one where you've had to
Yeah.
fetch and whip it around.
Yeah.
I'll get a couple of other heads to compare with.
Yep.
So Roger mentioned earlier wanted to look at the Cobra head. Which I'll get both models. In terms of other models, I'm actually going to have a little look at the Strixon head. I think is an interesting one to look at. I've got a slight kind of left field one,
Okay.
or what one might think of left field. I'm going to have a look at the. You mentioned the Cobra, and have a look at the Cobra next.
With the
Again,
same shaft?
really
or?
good. Shaft-wise swing's great.
Yeah.
I think that's the bit that's going to help, you know, control the club head and deliver that into the back of the ball.
Yeah.
From an optimal point of view, there's not an awful lot left. Yeah. Your face to pass 0.1. I mean, it's absolute disgrace, Chapman.
Missed out by 0.1.
You've missed that white line down the middle of the fairway. Yeah. So yeah, and that's really a key thing. Is that there's the control and the overall dispersion. If I can go into the average, where's that cursor gone? There we go. You know, from a dispersion pattern point of view, okay, there are a couple just a hair,
Yeah.
right? But it's
I'm hitting the fairway.
the chance right down the channel line.
Yeah.
It's not exactly bad with the TV, but actually, if you look at the concentration of where those lines are,
Yeah.
having hit twice as many shots, the concentration lines are tighter in terms of start line. And I think that's where, for me, the shaft's just helping keep the face on line a little bit better through the ball. If we go back to your current one,
Yeah.
that's so
Chalk
the
and
good
cheese,
ones
isn't
are
it?
very good, but then the miss is that way. So we've eliminated that certainly. You know, face to path on averages with your current driver, 2.5 degrees close face to path, 1 into out. With this shaft, 0.3 into out and 0.8 close. So just a much tighter pattern, which is great. So, and that again, that also then allows you to open up, free it up, put a bit more speed and keep it straight.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, with my original, you just felt as though you're just trying to steer it a little bit.
Yeah, you want to get the handle
Yeah.
through to the ball to try and keep the face from shutting. Yeah. Whereas a little bit lighter, because it's coming with you a little more easy, you're naturally getting that slight shaft lead. Right. So actually, the Cobra's a pretty low spin. So actually, starting with the doing the same thing as the pin, going up a little bit in loft, so I can loft it down slightly. But starting with the head, which is in principle not the lower spin head.
Okay. So this is the shaft that the good shaft.
Yeah, so this is the Acura, the TZ6
Yeah.
Gen 2 60 M4, which is that. I mean, their shafts play more of a kind of a strong. They actually play really quite firm to flex. I mean, the flex itself doesn't have a vast influence on, certainly on shot shape and things. A little bit on, mostly on feel, because regular to stiff is only a few percentage points on the amount of flex in the shaft. I'll just log that drive ahead. Great.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a very different sound.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that was one of the previous criticisms of the Ping, the 425, was it was quite a hard note, quite kind of tinny sound.
Yeah.
And the 430, they've really changed that. It's a much
Ping
much
is
more neutral sound.
Yeah, it
really.
is.
The Cobra, that one maybe slightly higher on the face, possibly. Yeah, a little bit above centre. I'll move the T down a little. But you can see where the spin is on that. Now, actually,
So with the weight at the back, you're going to get more airborne.
in principle, yeah, there's a little bit more, slightly more deflection, because the closer the centre of gravity is to the face, the less lead
Is that
lag
why it
deflection
looks
you get.
longer at the back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Aerojet, the LS, with that weight forward, is likely just to knuckle it a little bit. Yeah, so that, for where your preferred ball flight, I mean, it's efficient as a ball flight, but that's sending it up and out a bit more.
Yeah.
So if you were looking to have a moon ball flight, it's doing a good job.
Yeah.
It's not flying the spin up, but it's got to have the launch angle, because the spin's now sub 2,000. I'll get that one out of there. Yeah, so it's the kind of thing where if we're, as a head, if we're in a fit and we're looking for a head to get more launch without popping spin up, it's a very good head for that. It's just a bit of an interesting sound. There are some
much
people that
more
really
tinny, isn't
like
it?
the
Yeah.
sound, but it is a harder note.
So what's the difference between that one and that one then?
So I'll show the guys this. So
Yeah.
that was the one that Roger was hitting with the weight at the back, and then the LS has the weight at the front. So that pulls the centre of gravity down and forwards, which pulls spin down.
Right.
So in principle, the lower and the nearer the face the centre of gravity gets, the higher the ball speed and the lower the spin, but the less forgiving it is. But because of where you're getting the spin out of that head, if we go the LS, it's going to pull it down even more.
Okay.
So it's why the old SLDR, when you've got it out in the middle, unbeatable for ball speed.
Yeah.
And crazy low spin, so very, very long, but a complete pig if you miss hit it.
They all are.
But part of that, say, if you're looking to say, right, what's going to get me up and out and potentially maximise carry as much as possible, you could probably squeeze a couple of yards extra on that flight from the Cobra over the Ping on carry. But the risk is if you don't quite launch it with that spin, it's then got the nosedive. So spin, for those watching, we're always talking about spin's such a critical part of it. You want low spin for run out and forward momentum, but you can have too little. So this one's into the Strixon head.
That's
so,
a nice looking head, isn't it?
So yeah, a little bit more compact, a little more traditional
Yeah.
looking. They've had good results so far from this head. I'm going to put a little bit more head weight on that, just a little bit.
Oh, it's like the old.
And there are going to be some where just where the weight position sits in the head naturally just gets it. Where they're going lighter crowns, lighter soles, they're separating, moving the weight around more. For me, I get better delivery out of a weight forward head than a weight back.
Yeah.
Just the way each player delivers it, certain weight position is going to suit timing more. Okay. Solid. Yeah, So it'll get interesting a little. I'm going to turn the. I went safe on loft. I'm just going to turn that back down a little bit. Good club speed.
Ooh, 106.
Mm.
But ball speed down.
Yeah, and I think what we're finding more and more over the last couple of years is that they're all good heads now. It's just that they've got to be, the different materials, the different structures of heads, just are going to suit a player's delivery more than another, and you're going to get slightly more consistent ball speed or spin numbers out of one head versus another, just purely from how far the weight's moving now. So, but they're all going to be pretty good across the face now. It's just popping it up a little bit more. So again, for the kind of flight you're looking to see, it's just wanting to get up on you a little bit more. So again, good club speed. Clearly that pep talk from Stuart's
wound me up.
Rhythmic discipline, I think we could all do with a bit of that. Has asked, really interesting session, guys. Any reason why Simon didn't try the Tour AD DI in the G430 head as a direct comparison?
Because we already know that the DI is a little heavy. So all we'd be doing is getting Roger to swing more with that shaft and flipping it. So the shot shape is down to the balance and the weight, not the head. So by going lighter, we've eliminated that left-hand miss. So there's actually no point us putting that shaft in the 430 head, because all it's going to tell us is that he's going to miss that one left as well. So I'm going to get rid of that head too, just picking it up a little bit more. So because it's such a consistent pattern with that setup, the moment we went lighter, we lost it. So there's no point asking Roger to hit more shots with a shaft that we know we can improve on.
Yeah.
So
you're going to go back to the pink.
I'm just going to think, are there any others that are worth? I'll get one other head just as a comparison, but I think, the consistency of the numbers out of it, it would have to be really, really, really good. So I'll get one other head there.
Mm. 40.
Yeah.
More than I. More.
So where's next tournament? What's the
next big one is Costa Navarino.
Well, of course, you're one of the people on your team, who's also one of my old schoolboys, my Halford Hewitt team. You played amateur golf under his dad and with, which is David Page.
Oh, Pagey.
Pagey, yes.
David Page, because he was Kent, wasn't he?
Yeah, because, and among other things that sound similar.
Yeah.
His son Will's coming on the trip, but in a different team.
Oh, okay.
So there'll be some good
David Page
inter-family competition.
Well, he sort of ran the Kent team.
So David's father, would have run the Kent amateur team. And with David's father was never. I never knew David's father. He's part of my Hewitt team.
Yeah.
As far as I understand, there's never short of an opinion his son is very similar. But there is no chance. There is no chance David's watching this. I'll tell you that now. But hopefully you can teach him to chip when we're out there.
Well,
There's a
well, he's not on my team, so no.
Oh, he is.
Oh, he is on my team.
His son
right,
Will
okay. He's on. Well, I'll have to.
David's very adept at the Texas wedge.
I did leave them an introductory WhatsApp message saying practice hard and sharpen up your short game.
Yeah, I nearly put a reply on there, but I thought it might be a bit cruel straight out the gate.
Okay. Wow, that's going back a
he
long
did
way, David Page.
he did say that would be going back some.
Yeah, mid-70s, that is.
I doubt he's changed much mentally.
Another quick question, Simon. Has Roger ruled out testing any heads on looks beforehand? No stealth or TSR being tested yet?
So, I mean,
Going a bit on reputation. I heard a lot of good things with Ping. But yeah, if we can't find anything, we'll try them. So, but we're trying the Paradigm now.
so the one reason for just frozen a little bit. The one reason for not going stealth so far is I don't want to. The plus is going to knock the launch down a little bit more, and so that one this is just had a slight. Chapman's just playing a waiting game with us at the moment. It's got the little round circle of joy. Is my only concern with Stealth Plus is whether it just pulls that launch down a little bit more, and then we've got to loft up to get the flight that little bit higher. There we go. Yeah, perfect.
It's not as a good-looking club as the Ping, is it?
What's interesting with this one, there's no markings on the crown.
Yeah. Ooh.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, it popped up in there, hasn't it?
It's just, I'll tell you. Okay, interesting. Again, a little more. Yeah, so it's just not. It's that more up and out sort of flight, which is one of the things you said that you didn't want to go to. So I'll get that Stealth Plus. Just with the comparison.
We'll try it.
But again, going back to the Ping, it's
a
probably
good-looking club.
Slightly truer to loft than some others at the moment, and isn't. Whilst it is a low spin head, it's not a knuckle spin head, but doesn't pop the ball up quite as much relative to loft. So in terms of what you described flight-wise earlier, it does tick a lot of boxes for that. So I'll give that Stealth
Simon,
Plus
can you
again.
explain? Can someone quickly explain TD choice and not LS, etc.?
You're talking about shaft, I'm assuming. Did you say TB was that?
TD.
Oh, well, that is the Paradigm Triple Diamond is. They don't do an LS in it. Effectively, it is. So, whereas with Rogue, they did a Rogue Max LS and a Triple Diamond. The Triple Diamond.
TD is in Triple Diamond.
That was the Triple Diamond.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did go the Triple Diamond with that one. So one to keep the centre of gravity a little further forward. Yeah, so in the Paradigm, they merged the Triple Diamond and the LS into one head. Whereas with the Rogue, the Triple Diamond was a little more compact. Weight sat a little further forward, but actually wasn't quite as low spin as LS. So, but there wasn't really the need for both of them. So. Okay, very, very slightly heavier in the head, very slightly.
That toe looks. The head.
Yeah, definitely the shape around the toe.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why we actually only need one hit with that. That spin rate's one of the reasons why with this head a little bit scary.
Too low
spin.
Yeah. And that was hit good. I mean, if you hit it bad, I mean, narrowed it down.
Well, seeing as we can, I'll get the just kind of bookend everything. I'll get the current title list to compare with.
Okay.
The TSR will pop
Okay.
pop on. Just because it's only fair to cover that one off as well. It is one of the other ones that's not too scary low on spin.
Yeah.
Because that's the bit for you, is that, say, the really low spin actually hurts you a little bit. So. Okay, let's take a little bit of that. Get an exact match on that. There we go. So that's TSR3. Interesting. And for those, what's the reason I went TSR3 is the slightly more compact shape. TSR2 is going to have weight drawn back.
Yeah.
Which would maintain spin well, but I think we saw with the other heads, we draw weight back, it just the strike wasn't quite as good. TSR4 is going to knuckle spin off. So. Okay, so better flight window again. And
Club head speed down.
it's not as scarily low spin as some, which say,
No.
because of your delivery pattern, we don't need the head to knuckle spin off. We just need to control launch and make spin consistent.
That's 2 miles per hour. Less, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a little bit. I will get a couple more with it, but see where that ball speed sits, and I'll pop the ping back on.
Toe.
Let me just give you a fraction more head weight, just to see if that tidies up timing slightly, and then I'll spot the ping on. This is just seeing if it's the balance of it, it's just losing the timing a little bit. I say sometimes some heads just don't swing as well.
Yeah.
So trajectory's in a good window. It's. Let me pop the ping back on.
Yeah.
From what we knew really worked really well. Just to see if that ball speed just creeps back up the 1 or 2 miles an hour. So the Legends Tour stuff, when does that kick off?
Austria, which is in second week in May.
Right.
So it's a
Okay.
long.
Mm.
I played a Champions Tour event in Morocco.
Yeah.
First week.
Oh, that was the co-sanctioned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, it wasn't co-sanctioned. We just got the top 4 from the Legends Order of Merit from last year, and 2 invites. Myself and Santiago Luna got the invites because we're past winners of the Trophy Hassan. So yeah, it was good. I finished top 20, which was quite good. First one of the year, so I was quite happy with that.
Yeah. In terms of when we've not had tournament golf for a while, and then it gets quite tough to just go straight out into it and perform.
Yeah, I was a little bit rusty first round. I played in Portugal the week before at the One Green Invitational. Played okay. Second round in Morocco, played lovely. Past 73, shot 70. It's 7,600 and something off the back tees.
Not much then.
We played it about just over 7.3, between 7.3 and 7.4. Still a long way
Hell of
for
a course. That's
us
a
old
lot
boys.
of golf course. That.
Yeah. And the greens were so undulating. They've redesigned them. And interesting putts. necky.
It's that slightly tuggy one. Okay. Was it? I know that one's a slightly pretty one. But that club speed's back up with it.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it?
Roger, I won't emphasise on the third word of this question, but as Roger continues to get older, what does he do to maintain his club speed as high as he can?
Good clean living, isn't it?
Good bottle of red in an evening. No, I don't know, whether it's natural or I don't know. I don't do a lot of gym work. I do, stretching and everything. It's a bit more difficult to get out of bed in the morning.
But I think that's one of the, as we all get older, that's when your mobility's really key. If you haven't got the range of motion, you can't go up the speed as
your
much.
core is good, then I've always had a reasonable club head speed, and touch wood, I haven't. Yeah, I've noticed it. It was 110, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's gradually dropping off, and it's natural, isn't it? That will happen.
Just also a request maybe at the end, could we just run through what is in Roger's bag?
Yep, I'll do that.
Yeah, so your ball speed's back up. Yeah, so in terms of club speed, ball speed,
Yep.
it's you could argue the trajectory off the TSR3, slightly higher launch, slightly lower spin, is it slightly, but you're getting more ball speed out of that. So when you get the optimum flight from that one,
Look at the club path again. It's much more stable, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, then you've got there's the potential for a few extra yards out of that one, where like that shot there, you're up at the 105 club speed, you get the 156, 57 ball speed, then you're pushing the extra few yards out of that club head, just generating a little bit more speed with it. Yeah, so even the one that one's just a little bit held off. You're still getting a mile an hour more ball speed.
Yeah.
So that's where, granted that was the first head we had, but in terms of flight window, consistency of spin, club speed, the kind of the overall package, that's just got that
This
little
has
bit
come
extra.
out number one,
Yep.
isn't it?
I was going to say, had a crack at that one. What you need is then to stand there and give it that as it goes. So
107.
So 107 ball
Look at
speed.
that.
The flight stayed in a great window there.
Yeah.
You put another 7 or 8 yards on. A little bit extra draw when you've gone after it, but that's more angle of attack's up a little bit.
Yeah.
That's natural. It's almost what people call swing direction a little bit, natural rotation rather than it flipping.
Carries further, isn't it?
Yeah.
With this.
Yeah, you get your club speed's up and the ball speed proportionally is in the same place, so that's up a little bit as well. So maybe slightly higher on the face, possibly. Yeah, but again, we're just seen with that the club speed's up. So from the flight's good with both, but you're averaging 105 club speed with the ping, 105 and a half, 104 and a half.
Yeah.
And even if I'm kind to that Titleist one there, you've got 2 miles an hour more ball speed out of the ping as well.
Yeah.
So that yes, with the Titleist, higher launch, a bit less spin. So actually, in terms of yardage, average yardage, it made it up because you can generate the extra speed with the ping. It's a marginally safer spin. It's not dipping below the 2,000 mark, but you've got the extra gear in that from the ball speed.
Yeah.
Without compromising the control. So, yeah.
Another question: can Simon explain why he's got an LS Tech with higher loft and not Max with lower loft or other adjustments?
So the LS Tech with the higher loft it's a fairly low spin head, but it's not a knuckleball. But what we don't, part of it is the Max is designed a little bit more weight back. We're going to see that. Well, we know from other heads actually that lost some of the stability. So that's why I didn't go to that model. But started with the LS Tech and the 10.5 because I say it's pretty true to loft. So I know that the loft's going to be in the right kind of window. But we're also seeing weight forward rather than weight back is creating a more stable club face for Roger. So partly I didn't bother going to the Max to test it simply because the moment we drew weight back in the head, the timing, almost sort of feel for the club face for Roger went a little bit. So yeah, that's why, yeah. And so slight fade, a couple of hundred extra revs of spin, just a slightly safer shot.
Yeah.
Lasso draw gets the spin down a few hundred revs. And then gets the extra 6-7 yards. So
Roger, your thoughts on the visuals
on that.
of the 430?
Really nice. Sits lovely behind the ball. Whereas the couple of the other ones, like the Strixon looked great behind the ball. The Paradigm looked a bit odd, and the Stealth had a lot more toe in it for me.
Yeah, so the
much
Paradigm
toe.
is interesting because it hasn't got any mark. You've got the join in the crown, but it hasn't got any other markings on the crown, which some players really like because a lot of the markings sometimes look slightly inside, slightly heel side of centre. But equally speaking, it can. We're so used to having a coloured face or a coloured crown or some kind of marker. Can kind of almost get a little bit lost.
Yeah. But this one looks really good behind the ball.
Yeah, a little more, slightly more compact.
Yeah.
You've got their turbulators, but that helps to centre. Face the markings on the face, having the groove showing. Actually, again, it all sort of points into the centre of the face. It's quite a nice visual. But I mean, that is a head. Ping have always been good.
So what is this loft at?
So that's in the standard position.
Standard.
So they measure pretty darn true to loft.
Yeah.
So that in the standard position, your 9 degree TSI 3 in the standard position, there's not going to be an awful lot. That might only be half a degree more loft.
Yeah.
So there's not an awful lot of difference to it.
It's surprising how much better loft is for you now, isn't it?
I think now,
with the ball, because the ball keeps
for
in
you
the air.
because of where the ball spin and the heads for spin have gone, just need that little bit more loft to make sure the spin retains. And actually we're seeing that a little bit more with fairways in particular this year, having to go up to forwards quite a lot. And so Chapman before you 5-wood, he covers it a bit more, but a 5-wood loft gave him the 3-wood flight. So we're having to do that a lot more now than we ever used to. So make sure that's ball and club head design.
Another question, as an accomplished pro, is Roger more interested in what he can get out of a driver from his max swing or what he can get out of it on playable smooth swings?
I prefer to be at the latter, but I need something that if I do need to have a go at one, carry a bunker that's, 260 or something, I'll need a little bit of, a bit more length, but I want it to be stable under, coming on, if you're under the cosh, coming down the stretch of a tournament, you just need that stability that that you can, maybe hit it at a slightly slower club head speed, but beyond the fairway.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
It's nice to know that it's there.
It's there.
It's there if you want to give it a bit extra and to know, right, give it a bit extra, aim right centre, it's going to draw a touch more.
Or I'll just hit it down the left and just cut it back. And,
Yeah.
But what was the question before? It was what's in the bag?
Yeah, well, let's have a little, pull that around. There we go there. So let's whip those ones off.
So the irons are Mizuno MP5s. I've been Mizuno for many, many years on the tour. Out of 25 years, 26 years on tour, probably at least 20 years with Mizunos.
And for you, the blade side of things,
Love blades.
ball striking wise,
yeah.
for you it's more about making sure you don't have the one that jumps and goes long.
Yeah.
You're looking to protect against that rather than a more cavity back head protects against the one that drops back.
I did try the Mizuno, I can't remember which one, they were the cavity back ones, about 10 years ago. And I just, every now and again, I got one that just went through the air and I thought, gee, where does that come from?
Yeah.
but the Mizuno MP5s have been. This is my second set of them.
Yeah, and these ones have got the Oba and the CT115 shafts in.
Yep. Which you fitted me. Thank you
I
very
also
much.
use as well. So
Yeah, well, there you go.
but yeah, and so those ones are kind of say 115 kind of midweight, very, very, very smooth. Again, there's that little bit of load in them. But I don't know about you, but I found through the bag the flight stays a little more stable.
Yeah,
all
more
across.
consistent, definitely.
So Japanese made steel, made in conjunction with Shimada. Those shafts. Couple of Oki wedges.
Yep, the I think they're the 9s. Aren't they? Yep, 9s.
Do you change your wedge setup much depending on course?
Not really, no. I'm not. I hear guys that play less bounce on firmer green, down links courses or things like that. So I've never been one that. Perhaps I should. I don't know. Trouble is, I've got to pay for these now, so you don't get anything free these days.
And you play the blades 3 to 3 iron.
Yep. 3 to wedge.
When you won at Harbour Shores, there were a couple of hybrids in the back.
Titleists. They were as well.
Yeah, and but hybrid in rather than the.
Yeah, I had Adams hybrid, like a 5-wood. That went pretty well that week. I think I had that. Would I have had that driver? No, I had I had an old.
No, was that a 9? If it was a Titleist,
had a grey-headed
9
Titleist 3-wood.
Pretty sure we built you a couple of Adams hybrids before you won your first senior.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
So it would have been maybe a 913,
something like that.
Yeah. And this was the 2. So again, not the crazy low spin one.
No. I mean that's really good off the tee. I mean, if I want to hit, that's nearly as long as my driver off the tee.
Well, not anymore, obviously. So stretch it out. But and that's got. I mean, that shaft's worked so well for you over the years. It's a Motori speed of VC 7.2, which is the slightly stronger tip, and this one's the tour spec one. Slightly stronger in the tip section, but kind of mid 70s weight wise. Really stable. That's been one which has been almost impossible to beat.
And then just recently put a 5-wood, the Titleist TSR2 5-wood in, which is a really nice club.
Yeah, again, these ones now, these heads, you can get the launch without the spin popping. They definitely a little bit stronger than historically.
I thought much more consistent than the what do you call the spoon things? What do you call? I've forgotten the name of them now. The Adams I had.
Oh, the hybrids.
The hybrids.
Yeah, and again, that really depends on delivery. If someone's a little bit shallower into the ball, if you tend to pick it off a little bit more, then the wood with the weight lower and further back helps to pick it. I've always been more on top, and so 5-wood historically for me have spun massively.
Yeah.
Probably okay with one now actually with where the equipment is. I'd much rather see it coming in low and flight up.
Yeah.
It's more kind of scar tissue with woods, lofted woods and hybrids for me. So I've got 2 iron in the bag, driving iron instead.
And the putter is a Scotty Cameron.
The fabled T
concept for tour use only. I picked this up at in his showroom in California.
Yeah.
I went with David Frost. He went for a club fitting. He went to try some putters, and I looked at this and put it down. I had a few putts with it, and I said, "Can I have this?" He says, "Yeah, help yourself." So that was good.
You see, you're not purchasable.
Not
purchasable by official means.
No.
Those ones,
Guys, we'll probably be wrapping up the live reasonably soon. So if you've got any questions you want to ask Roger, please fire them in, and we'll end the session with a few questions. If
have you generally been a
you have them
equipment-wise, or tend to once the bag's settled, it's
no. It was funny. Andy Kickidas from Mizuno, and he said we'd always see Roger when he came to the Mizuno van, first tournament of the year, have his clubs, loft slides, done everything, and then the only time we ever saw him he was having a cup of tea with Pat, the driver, and that was it. And
low maintenance.
I was low maintenance, but the Mizuno truck was unbelievable on tour. I mean, you could have. I had a set of grips put on in 20 minutes. It was amazing.
Yeah.
The Japanese guys were fantastic, And
they've
they were
always
good.
been good at supporting players who aren't with them as well. over
Yeah,
the years.
absolutely. Yeah, you didn't have to be a Mizuno player, but obviously Mizuno players got preference. But the Japanese boys were fantastic. They were such good fun.
Turbo
Yeah.
was on the tour then, yeah. Legendary wedge grinder. Yeah. Any others coming in? Right.
All right, hit one more.
Yeah, just slightly heel side maybe, but again, it's
Bit necky, wasn't it?
bit necky.
Yeah.
Not dropped off too much ball speed. Picked up a little bit of spin, but
Yeah.
overall, again, very stable.
It's more consistent, isn't it?
Yeah, and so having lost that, you say it's that low spin knuckle that's the damaging.
Yeah.
Slightly higher on the face, but
Hey, listen.
and that I think the thing for me is it doesn't have that 1700 loop.
Yeah.
You know, so that's just then
Yeah.
settling your bedded T height might adjust very slightly with the construction of this head versus the Titleist. You know, marginal sort of timing is that time with the shaft weight change it a little bit. You'll just dial in the T height to find, you know, center point. But again, yeah, it's that not having the nosedive on spin means that you can hit and say carry distance. There's a bunker that even if you catch it a little bit higher in the face, it's not going to fall out of the sky and drop under the lip. So.
Yeah, there was a couple in Morocco that you think, you know, should be able to, but if I don't get it all, it will just fall out.
Yeah.
What part of your game do you practice the most?
These days? Back in the day, I was out there all day, every day. You know, start off on the range, go to the short game, putting. But putting at home, I do a lot in because we've got a new house that I say new, it's old, but new to us. It's got a long sort of lounge area, so I can hit 30, 40 foot putts to my heart's content.
You've got a carpet with the right stimp.
It's about 12. But no, just do more quality these days. Feel as though I do more quality. Not so much 2 or 3 hours a day, every other day. But short game, a lot of short game.
Yeah.
Any plans to match in the 3-wood to the driver for consistency?
Possibly, yeah. I'm just going to have a look at them after the session's finished. Because again, they look really nice behind the ball. It was Ronan Rafferty that said, no, you want to try the ping ones. So he's heard a lot of good things about them, and I think he was right.
Yeah,
so,
good reason. Yeah, good reason for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, well, thank you for watching. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for all your help over the years. It's been
always a shocker to stand and watch that swing for an hour. But no, it's been it's great to see that there is something that your suspicions about what could be done and there being potential. There is something.
We found something. So
we found something.
It's good.
So thank you for watching. So any other questions that you fire in, feel free to fire them in, and we'll answer them as soon as we can. And we'll if you're not already, subscribe and like and hit the bell button. And we will see you next time. Thank you very much for watching.